There are actually reasons why someone would stay with a narcissist. Those reasons might be religion, they have children, finances, or they actually love them. And I've said this a lot, just like there are spectrums of everything else, there are spectrums of narcissism. Some narcissists are just annoying. And on the spectrum of all the things that could be happening in the relationship, sometimes a low spectrum narcissist isn't really that bad. If you're with someone who is a lower end narcissist, often you already understand that it's the way that they feel, it's the way they behave, but often they can change the way that they feel and behave with time. Narcissism is an adaptation. It's a way of feeling, thinking, and behaving. And sometimes with the very low end, low spectrum narcissists, those ways of thinking, feeling, and behaving can change, but sometimes not. Everything about them is self-esteem boosting. So everything that they think, do, feel is all about how they can get more self-esteem. The other area that is important to recognize is that a lot of what they feel is that they're living in the shadow of someone else or that they are very insecure in general. Even if you think that they are very confident, that is usually a facade. When their self-esteem starts to tank, what often happens and what takes its place is either self-loathing or grandiose behavior, both of which are going to be a drag for you. So if you're choosing to stay with a narcissist, understand they're either going to be in three states: in the boosting of self-esteem, in depression or self-loathing, or in grandiose behavior. However, if you are with someone who is on the lower end of narcissism, you're not going to see as much of a change. However, that being said, they might be self-loathing or they might be grandiose or both. Add to that, they're always looking at that self-esteem boosting, so you never know what's coming around the corner. So understand that if you're choosing to stay with a narcissist, you need to adapt, not them. So understand if you're going to stay with a narcissist, you have to think about that. When they feel ugly, they want you to feel ugly. When they feel like they're fat, they're going to say that you're fat. When they're feeling weak and they're eating lots of sweets, they're going to try to get you to eat sweets. A lot of what you deal with a narcissist is projection. They don't necessarily lack empathy, and a lot of people say that, and of course somebody who's very psychotic is going to lack empathy. But I'm talking about the lower end spectrum of a narcissist. They're not lacking empathy, and what's even worse is they're choosing not to use it. They disregard it because they haven't developed it. So they have it, they have the potential, but they haven't developed it. So just think about when you were younger and you were learning how to write. You couldn't make sense of all of the symbols originally, but you knew they meant something, and you knew you should pay attention. And sometimes the low-end narcissists will do that. They will pay attention and they will try to pick up clues, and they might even try to act like they have empathy. And sometimes it's just purely a facade, but sometimes they're trying. So understand that if you are choosing to stay with a narcissist, sometimes they're faking it and sometimes they're trying to make it. You will never know which one it is. Don't think you know. Just because you know them well doesn't mean you understand where things are coming from. But the bottom line is, when a narcissist is lacking the showing of empathy, or the lacking of empathy, or the lacking of behavior of empathy, in the end, it doesn't matter where it's coming from, it's going to hurt you. It's very painful for someone to always point the finger at you. It can be really painful for someone to constantly blame you for everything that's happening in their life or your lives as a couple. You're really just a facet of their self-esteem boosting, and while you might be very much in love with them, they are not capable of the same type of love. So it would be irrational for you to get upset that they're not loving you in the same way, because they're just not capable of it, at least right now. And you may wait around for weeks or months or years, and they may never be capable. And that's just the way that goes. And think about this. You learned how to be kind, and you learned how to have some level of self-esteem, even if you had a tough background, because someone, somewhere along the line, was very kind to you. Someone was a role model and taught you to accept yourself, faults and all. The narcissist didn't have that. So they don't know how to be kind to themselves nor anyone else. They probably didn't have that role model. And again, I hate to go into all of the reasons why someone is a narcissist or has narcissistic tendencies, because that really doesn't matter right now. Because it's probably not the narcissist looking at this, it's probably the victim or the enabler or whatever you want to call yourself. But the bottom line is, if you are going to be in a relationship with a narcissist, you also have to understand that they don't understand things the way that you do. They don't understand kindness the way that you do. They don't understand self-love the way that you do, and they certainly don't understand romantic love the way you do. They operate in past and future. So for them, Everything is about ruminating on all the wrongs that they've had in the past, and also concern, worry, and anger about the future. So even though they are often in the now only in the critical sense, a lot of their world, a lot of their worldview, a lot of how they see the world is about the past and the future. That means that in the now and in the moment, all they can see are your flaws because you're reminding them of something or someone in the past that somehow wronged them, or they're trying to navigate your next step and they're concerned, they're worried, they're criticizing to try to keep you in line. So while it might feel like they're very much in the now, they're really not in the now at all. In fact, they're not really in the same reality that you are at all. There is no middle ground. So like I said before, if they are operating in insecurity and outward depression, that's where they are. If they're operating in covering up their insecurity and grandiose behavior, that's where they are. That's also where they're seeing you. They're either seeing you as weak or someone to fight. You will definitely notice that there is not peace when you are with a narcissist because you're always worried about and thinking about when's the next shoe going to drop. They have trained you to be very similar, but you're on the other end of it. So you're not turning into a narcissist, but you're turning into an abused person. So you do need to understand that if you choose to stay with a narcissist, you're going to have a certain level of annoyance and possibly abuse. And when I say possibly abuse, I'm not talking about the narcissist who actually abuse. I'm talking about the people who are just moody and annoying and insecure. It's not abusive for someone to be insecure. You could be insecure right now. It doesn't mean you're out abusing anyone. Happiness is all about acceptance. And with a narcissist, there's never any self-acceptance and there's never any acceptance of anyone else. Everything about them is winning someone over. Even if they're around a child, everything about that child is winning that child over, making themselves the favorite of a pet or a child. Everything they do is revolved around being that, being special. Every single thing that they do is revolved around boosting their own egos. It's really not about the child or children. It's not about the pets. It's always about looking the best. And they will take it where they can get it. And they want to be the center of attention and they want to feel perfect and they will take it wherever they can get it, as desperate as that seems. You will notice that if you choose to be with a narcissist, that they are very hypersensitive. The inflection of your voice will set them off. They will not just calmly say, "Are you upset? Your voice sounded this or that." They will immediately go into a defensive mode. You will never be able to have a normal conversation as long as you are with that narcissist. So I want you to understand that. If you're choosing to be with a narcissist for religious reasons or for the children or for anything else, you need to understand what you're doing to yourself. So understand that if you're choosing to be with a narcissist, you're setting yourself up for a lot of arguments. You're not going to have a lot of peace in your life unless you live like roommates, which many people who end up staying with the narcissist end up doing naturally anyway, because the narcissist is incapable of having any kind of relationship with anybody. Any relationship that they have is extremely surface. You will notice that if you bring anything up with a narcissist, I mean, you could put pillows on your feet and tiptoe through this discussion with them, and they will immediately put a wedge between you and them. Immediately you will feel the love cut off. Immediately you will feel the wedge. Immediately you will feel anger and resentment from them. You're not imagining it. That's where their coping skills are. They're like, wow. And remember, if you choose to stay with a narcissist, if you want to live with a narcissist, what is going to happen is they will see you the way they see themselves. So for themselves, they're either unworthy and insecure or grandiose and on top of the world. Everything is about their self-esteem. Everything is about how they appear to others. And the same goes for you. They will look at you as either being good or evil. It is all about, are you stroking their ego or are you in their way? There is no in between. Everything that you do, if you choose to stay with a narcissist and if you want to have some kind of calmness in your life, is going to be about calming them, stroking their ego, but it will never be enough. You can do the mildest, most benign action, for instance, questioning them about something ridiculous, asking them a question. It could be about anything. You can ask them, for instance, a question about anything. and they will immediately turn it around, because if they perceive it to be a threat, if they perceive it to be in some way them not being intelligent, the arguments that abound and the friction that abounds when you are with a narcissist are overwhelming. Because even if you ask them a basic question or disagree with them in any way, shape, or form, instead of it being something that might be a discussion, and a gentle discussion at that, they will take it as you suddenly think that they are unworthy. And when they become like that, they go into depression and they go into all kinds of coping strategies that make you the villain, because they can't be a victim if they don't have a villain. You will notice that everyone in their life is. You will notice that they have a lot of people that are villains in their life. For instance, if they're in a work environment and their boss or their employer gets very upset with them or the entire group, and the boss is expressing that, instead of them looking at it objectively and trying to figure out how to make this better, how to problem solve, all they want to do is either point the finger at their boss was wrong or laugh at the boss that the boss got out of control. It's never about them. So they have to point the finger and mock other people all of the time in order to stay in their stoic, grandiose space or covert space. And a lot of people know about grandiose narcissism, but if you're not sure about covert narcissism, I have a link below. Now, as much as they are focused on the past and in the future, as much as they are riddled with anxiety and depression and insecurity or covering everything up with grandiose behavior, with you, they are in the now. You have to walk on eggshells when you are with a narcissist. They will belittle you. They will embarrass you. They will make up lies about you just so that they can look good. And I don't mean just twisting the truth a little bit. They can make up blatant lies. And I don't mean just twisting the truth a little bit. I mean they will make up blatant lies. Anything to make themselves look good. Anything to make themselves look good. Which is hard because everything they do is so transparently egotistical. They often come across as complainers and whiners, and they often are very transparent that they want to get back at someone. They don't do a whole lot of lifting their partner up and celebrating their partner. They go through the moves and then they want to push their partner down. So they'll do little things like put their partner up on some kind of a pedestal in some kind of way, but they do that only so that they can knock their partner off. And you are the partner. So get ready, because you're going to be knocked off the pedestal more than once. I have another video for you right above, and I also want you to check out the description box. I have a free journaling club, the Sanity Soiree. I would love for you to join it.